everyone, welcome to our learning portal in 3Strand K. This is a place that is going to be filled with knowledge. We're going to be posting videos here and different learning material to keep up to date with the current trends and the forever changing information. I'll tell you something, one of the most hardworking people I know are nurses. Nurses work so hard day and night, but there's one thing that we lack: documentation. Here's one thing, one principle I need you to know: work done and not documented is like work not done. So documentation is very, very important in nursing because it communicates the progress and the health of the participant or resident or patient, between staff, between allied health and staff, between staff and doctors, between like everybody, even with family members. There's many things that happen to a client and we cannot always remember. So documentation is very, very critical. I can't overemphasize this. I wish you understand this and just get it as I explain it to you. Because if there's no documentation, there's no evidence of engagement, no matter how hard you work. All right, let's get to this. Progress note writing. This is what we are talking about today. I would like to mention this at the beginning. Number one, use a black pen. There's many types of documentation styles. Some people use computers, Leaker, different kinds of softwares. But when you're using a pen and a paper, use a black pen for the simple reason that papers can be required in different departments across states, across places, and we fax them, we scan them, we email them, and if you use any other color, the color fades or it doesn't copy properly, so the information is sort of like lost along the process. So use a black pen, right? When you're writing, you've got the name at the top. Always put the name of the client at the top. The name, the surname. We've got Crook Sunshine there, born on the 10th of October 2000, and his hospital number or client number or participant number 442. Try and fill in all the fields with the information as much as you can, so that we don't have to backfill information when you need to transfer a client, or when you need to send them to hospital, or when you need to send off the paperwork to another destination. Then you write the date on the first column and the time of the shift, not the time of writing the progress note, the time of the shift. For example, from 10 to 2 or from 8 to 11. For the simple reason, we need to capture the length and the length of the shift and who worked on that shift, right? Because the times of participants are different. It's not just an 8-hour shift. Sometimes it's 2 hours, sometimes it's 3 hours, sometimes you get delayed and end up working 4 hours instead of 3 hours. So we need you to capture the whole length of time. And then on the second column, where you write your initials, because there's many people with different with the same name, we need you to write a little form of your name. For example, Nom, N-O-M, and then M for my second name. Because if you just write N-M, there are many people with the name N-M, starting with N-M, or different other initials. So just write your name in short form. If you wish to write the exact time when you're writing the report, that's where you write it under the 1714 or 902 or whatever specific time if you want to write the time. When you're writing the progress note, we need you to capture very important information: how the client is. Are they happy? Are they sad? Are they unwell? Are they better today? Capture all that information, not only the behaviors of concern, but the well-being of the patient as a whole. Did they eat? Did they open their bowels? Did they pass urine? Did you do the blood sugar levels? Did you do the blood pressure observations and things like that? You will find that if you write everything about the client on the progress note, you're going to go through pages and pages. So we have different charts for different documentation. We have behavior charts, we have bowel charts, we have intake and output chart, we have observation charts, wound charts, many different charts. So when you're writing in the progress note, just write in short and say bowel well open or bowel moderately open, short form BMO. So when something is mentioned in the progress note, then if I need more details, I need to find that chart in that folder and see the details of the bowels. Was it large bowels, more open? Was it foul smelling? Was it different color from normal? Was it blood stained, mucousy, or any type? You know, you can explain bowels the way you see them. Is it type 6? Is it type 4? Is it just normal, right? Same applies to the food and fluid. You can just say meals given, and then you go to the food and fluid chart or the meal chart. You say he had 3 wheat bix with soya milk, and he had a fruit, and you know, you explain all the things in the food chart. So this relieves a whole chunk of burden on the progress note, and it puts them on the charts, and it reduces double handling. So this is what we need to see. So when you finished writing your notes, you need to write your name and your surname, like a signature, and your surname, and then you write your designation. Are you a support worker? Are you a support coordinator? Are you a registered nurse? Are you an EEN? Write your designation there, right? After capturing all the information. Close all the gaps. Do not read your notes, your progress note. If somebody in the previous shift had written that Mr. Crook had a headache, at least close that gap. Ask Mr. Crook, how are you feeling today? And you just write there, headache resolved, or headache improved, or still has a headache. At least close that gap, right? I hope you understand that bit. And then also, if you need to write an hour by hour progress note, you can write 800 hours, arrived to see Mr. Crook. He was already up, had breakfast, and prepared for shower. 8:30, managed to do the dressing, changed all the old dressings, blah 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 blah. 9:30, we went for a walk, we had a good time, nature studies, blah blah blah. You are writing hour by hour. I'll tell you how this helps. This helps because when you get stuck at the end of the shift, at least you have documented something. You do not have this whole heap of documentation to write. And in many times, when you're stuck at the end of the shift, at least maybe if there's an emergency or there's something that comes up, chances are you're not going to capture all the information. You're just going to think, okay, I can write this, I shouldn't worry about this. Yet, we need to capture as much things, no matter how recurrent they are. If it's behavior and it's recurrent, at least mention it so that when we do evaluation, we can actually see that it's got recurrent behavior. That's why it is important, because remember, these notes are also used to review the client's plan, to see if the goals are met, to see if there's any changes, to see if there's anything that needs to be done differently. So you need to capture everything. So if you write hour by hour, that's how you write. You write it in the column, the time you write it under the column of your name. And at the end of it, you sign it, you put your designation. Always sign all the entries. When you have finished, sign them and put your designation. We need to know who wrote this progress note. If you have an addition, suppose you are almost going and then you discover that, oh, they broke their glasses or they broke their dentures, you go back in the notes and you write added, means additional. Then you put your additional information, you sign it off, you put your name, you put your designation. Okay? If you are at home and then you remember, oh, I forgot something, when you come back on the next shift, you need to write the date you come back on the shift, and then you write in retrospect. So in short, you write in retro. And then you write the date the event happened. On such a day, I attended Mr. Crook, and he told me that he lost his sister in Brisbane and is very unhappy with it, and he needed to go to Brisbane next week so that we can start arranging transport and doing all sorts of things. So if you forget something, enter it in retrospect. Okay? One other thing, never leave lines, empty lines or gaps in between notes. Make sure all the fields are filled, and where there is space left, cross it out. For the simple reason is we don't want anyone adding information in between information. If I have forgotten to write something very, very important, for example, Mr. Crook had a low blood sugar and I didn't capture that, and then the next thing I hear is that Mr. Crook collapsed and was taken to hospital and is in a critical condition, I can come back clipping and get the pen and write in the gap that is left, hand it over to the next shift that Mr. Crook had a low BSL. Guess what? You've passed the buck to the next person. Then you've framed the next person. You are framed. So make sure you leave no gaps. When you've finished, cross it out and close all the empty spaces. You get it? Very, very important. Some of the things will make meaning when you're caught in the net one day, but we don't wish anyone to be caught in any kind of net. That's why we are sharing this information with you. If you turn over the page of the of your progress note and you're continuing with the same progress note, please write continued and write the small date there. Any new page needs to have a date. Don't assume because I've written the date in the previous page, I can just continue. Because if that page is left blank and somebody does not fill it in, when someone comes after 2 days and they don't realize that the notes have progressed, they will continue with the date as the 15th when you had written the notes on the 13th. Guess what? You've got 2 days missing. When that paper is faxed or sent to another destination, they'll not be able to reconcile to say, how come this person was last done ABC on this date and nothing happened in 2 days until the 30th? So make sure you always write a date at every beginning of the page. And also, if somebody has written half a page and you're coming on a new shift to continue your documentation, write your own date, just in case the other person made a mistake of writing the date. So make sure you write your own date. Okay, so very, very important. Progress notes are actually an official and a legal document. They can actually be used in court to prove any incident or any kind of issues that are arising. We can go back to the progress note and review them and go through them with the fine-tooth comb to see what happened when, where, and with who, right? If there is any urgent things that need to be done, contact your supervisor. Don't just write them on the progress note. Maybe your supervisor will come after 2 or 3 days. Don't just write, Mr. Crook had a BP of 190/30, left him lying in bed. It doesn't make sense, because the person who is going to come next might find Mr. Crook's condition further deteriorated. So if there is an issue there and you cannot intervene, contact your supervisor and you follow the directions as they are going to be given by phone or by any means of communication. Or they may ask you to call the ambulance, or they may ask you, to start other interventions. So yes, if you have any questions about the information that I've shared, there's many other things, but I've just picked what is important at this time. Many different organizations write progress notes differently. What we capture in 3Strand Care is the basic client care information that we used on a day-to-day basis. We don't go deep on the hemodynamics, the blood results, the deep ECGs and all the other investigations. We just do basic home care. If we need to go any further or any deeper, we usually transfer the client to the hospital. The ones that come home, they are stable. They are the ones that can just be supported at home. So those are our progress note. I'll come back in another time to review different charts and different other forms that we use. And I hope to meet you next time. But like I said, if you have any information, if you require any kind of presentation or concerning healthcare, do use our email address, admin@3Strand, as you can see it on the screen there, and say whatever you need to say, whether you're inviting us to talk on a particular subject or to review a particular information, or you want to add anything, you're welcome to do so. But until then, be good, stay safe from the COVID, and go and do your vaccination. Let's all do the right things. And thank you very much for listening to the presentation. Until next time.